May 25, 2024, Valley View, Texas, lies asleep under its third tornado, warning in a week. Meteorologists had sounded every alarm, warnings blasted out with scientific precision, and radar made the danger unmistakable. Yet as a supercell with 150 miles per hour winds barrels toward town, the sirens never sound. 7 lives are lost and dozens injured. How did every alert system work perfectly, except where it mattered most? The real story behind the Texas tornado nobody was ready for begins here. 36 hours before the tornado struck, the Storm Prediction Center placed North Texas under a moderate risk for severe weather. Forecasts from multiple agencies pointed to the same threat corridor. Cook County was in the bullseye. By early afternoon on May 25, 2024, the language in the official outlook was unmistakable. Damaging winds, very large hail, and strong tornadoes were all possible. Meteorologists at the Storm Prediction Center analyzed high-resolution model runs, each one reinforcing the potential for long-track supercells. The consistency across the American, European, and Canadian models gave forecasters unusual confidence. As the day wore on, atmospheric ingredients began to align. Deep moisture surged north from the Gulf, instability climbed, and wind profiles showed classic signs of tornadic potential. At 4 p.m., a particularly dangerous situation. Tornado watch was issued, a rare step reserved for the most volatile setups. The watch covered Cook County and neighboring areas, alerting emergency managers and local broadcasters to the seriousness of the situation. Radar scans that evening showed storms developing just as predicted, each echo matching the forecast track. Across North Texas, the sense among meteorologists was clear. This was a night when every warning would need to count. The tools and the science had done their job. The question now was whether local systems and communities would be ready to act. At 11:38 p.m., the National Weather Service office in Fort Worth made a critical decision. Radar scans revealed a tightening vortex northwest of Valley View, with velocity data showing winds exceeding 100 miles per hour in opposite directions, classic signs of a violent tornado in progress. The hook echo on radar sharpened, and a debris ball became visible, marking the tornado's destructive path as it advanced toward the community. Meteorologist Sarah Chen reviewed the latest velocity couplets and made the call. An urgent warning was issued, highlighting the immediate, life-threatening danger. The message was clear. This was not a routine alert. The tornado was confirmed on the ground, large and rapidly intensifying. The warning explicitly named Valley View as being in the direct path, urging anyone in the area to take shelter without delay. For those monitoring radar, the cues were unmistakable. The supercell's rotation tightened further, and the debris field expanded, signaling that structures were already being torn apart. Within minutes, the storm would reach the town's edge. As the official alert spread across digital platforms and broadcast airwaves, the window for action narrowed to seconds. The next moments would decide who survived. At 11:42 p.m., most of Valley View lay in darkness, homes quiet except for the low hum of air conditioners and the occasional flicker of a television. That night, it was the third tornado warning in less than a week. For many, their phones vibrated with a new alert, but the sound barely registered. Some had silenced notifications after restless nights of false alarms. Others, especially older residents, kept their phones charging in kitchens or living rooms, far from their bedrooms. The warning system that once jolted families awake now blended into the background, softened by routine and fatigue. Outside, the town's lone siren stood silent. No piercing wail cut through the night air, no urgent signal to rouse the sleeping. The siren's wiring, disturbed by recent renovations at City Hall, had not been tested in 2 months. Volunteers at the fire department had tried to activate it as the storm approached, but nothing happened. For the families scattered across Valley View, some in sturdy brick houses, others in mobile homes on the edge of town, the silence was absolute. In a single-wide trailer north of the city center, the Martinez family slept together in one room, unaware of radar images lighting up weather screens across Texas. Not far away, Dale Hutchinson, a retired teacher, sat awake in his basement, radio tuned to weather updates, his flashlight and water ready. But most of his neighbors remained in bed, trusting that someone somewhere would wake them if real danger came. As the minute hand crept toward 11:43 p.m., the everyday defenses, phones, sirens, habits, offered no warning at all. At 11:43 p.m., the tornado crossed Interstate 35 just north of Valley View. The roar of wind and debris drowned out everything as power lines snapped, plunging the area into total darkness. Vehicles along the highway were tossed from the road, some overturned and battered by flying metal and wood. In the mobile home park on the northern edge of town, the Martinez family never woke in time. Their single-wide trailer, built decades earlier, stood no chance against winds estimated at 150 miles per hour. The structure disintegrated in seconds, scattering insulation and family belongings across open pasture. Carlos Martinez was thrown into a ditch by the force of the wind, suffering broken bones and deep lacerations. Jennifer and one of their daughters were found lifeless in the debris field, while their youngest was missing for hours before being discovered by searchers at dawn. A few blocks away, Dale Hutchinson heard the distant crash of transformers as he braced in his basement. His brick house shuddered under the pressure, but held together, its roof torn away and windows shattered. Neighbors, caught without warning, crowded into a bathroom as the walls flexed and glass exploded around them. When the wind finally eased, the silence was broken only by the sound of distant alarms and the calls for help. 7 people in Valley View lost their lives that night, most in homes that offered little protection. The contrast was stark. Communities along the storm's earlier path, where warnings had been heard and acted upon, recorded no fatalities. Here, the loss was immediate and irreversible. The town, now without power and cut off by fallen trees and wreckage, faced a long night of confusion and fear as survivors waited for help to arrive. Survey teams from the National Weather Service arrived at first light, working methodically through the tangled wreckage that stretched across Valley View's northern edge. Their job was to translate devastation into data, measuring the width of the tornado's path, cataloging the types of structures destroyed, and matching each scene to the enhanced Fujita scale. The most severe damage showed well-built homes reduced to piles of debris and mature trees stripped of bark, clear indicators of violent winds. The survey documented a track length of 8.8 miles and a maximum width close to 600 yards. Peak winds were estimated at 150 miles per hour, supporting the EF3 classification. Each splintered beam and uprooted foundation became a data point, helping quantify the storm's power with clinical precision. The numbers left no doubt. This was a major tornado, one that left a measurable scar on the landscape and the community. The investigation traced the silent siren to a wiring failure inside City Hall, first noted in a maintenance log dated May 22nd. The relay responsible for activating the system had been overlooked during recent renovations, and no backup path existed to override the fault. Fire Chief Amanda Reeves described the moment her team pressed the activation button and nothing happened. There was no time to troubleshoot as the storm approached. Rescue crews that night relied on thermal imaging cameras to search collapsed homes in darkness, a tactic that helped locate survivors quickly. In the weeks that followed, Cook County officials approved installation of redundant siren circuits and distributed NOAA weather radios to households without reliable phone alerts. New legislation now requires all Texas municipalities to report warning system failures in real time and mandates repairs within 24 hours. The changes reflect a hard lesson, a clear truth. When warnings fail, lives can be lost in seconds. Today, every warning system, no matter how advanced, remains only as strong as its weakest link. Lives now depend on redundancy, real-time oversight, and a community's willingness to act. Preparedness is not a choice. It is the line between alarm and aftermath.